Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to another Voices Live. This one it should.
Oh,
Take two.
This one should be. I'm trying to think of like fun. I think.
there we go.
Yeah.
So tonight we are talking horror movies that are not categorically horror, but they definitely are. And there's
For sure.
probably not a better person to do that with other than our very dear friend Radar.
Woo! I do this every week on TikTok.
On
so.
TikTok, yes. Yes.
Real House.
And yes. And do you love that? Do you love all the things that you're known for? People are like, when I'm talking, I was like, oh, when I do conspiracy theories, and Tasha was like, radar. These are the things that you're known for.
that one is interesting. The conspiracy theories I would not expect.
No,
but hey, it was a fun
maybe
series.
it just falls into like a general weird hat, and then that's just kind of where you use it.
Yeah, that's where I live. That's where I exist.
Hi, Lexi.
Hey, Lexi.
Welcome aboard, Lexi.
How are you?
Oh, we love Radar's TikToks.
Yes.
Someone's gotta.
No, stop. They're so funny. Sometimes you make me mad because you're like, oh, you're like characters that deserve better. And I'm like, well, my day's ruined.
You're welcome.
Hell yeah, always... What's up, Tasha?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey,
have a good stream, everyone. Oh, so sorry. Man, Rick, you had a rough run of it with not feeling well. I hope you feel better, man.
Feel better, man. Jeez.
You know what lifts my spirits? I had this morning. I put a pack of hot cocoa in my cup of coffee. It was
Addie taught me. I'd never done that before. And she was like, oh, you know what you should try?
It's like a mocha without having to put all that syrup in it.
Changing.
It's
so good. I know. I'm so man. I will tell you, after I got COVID the first time it went rampant, I'm the same. And then not only am I sick more frequently, but when I do get sick, it lasts longer than it used to. Like I used to just get like the sniffles, and then after like a day or two, they go away. But now it's lasting weeks. It's ridiculous. You couldn't pay me to think that it's not changing, that it didn't change our immune system. That's what happens when you get sick anyway. But anyway,
right.
No, we hope you feel better. Sending you lots of love.
Hearts.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking movies that are not typically put as horror, but absolutely are horror. And Radar, you're the guest. I'm gonna. If you're going in order of the list you sent me, the first one's going to be the best. So good to start on. So why don't you tell us what your first one is?
Yeah. So the first movie is probably what everyone who I guess lived in England in the late 70s would think of as like not horror, but definitely is horror. And that's the animated movie Watership Down, which is just like one of the most messed up films, just not even like sticking to horror, just in general of all time. It starts with like this horrific, like one of the main characters has that vision of like all of them, and I don't know why they did it, where it's like all the rabbits are just like floating heads in their burrows, and then the burrows get covered and they just suffocate to death.
That part is so upsetting to watch, especially if you're an animal lover.
Yeah, and it's so, I think for me, the most terrifying scene is when the group, like the main group, the one female rabbit, when she gets too adventurous and goes like trying to eat grass a little far out in the meadow, and like one of the main characters just goes, and then a hawk just picks her up, takes her off, and they don't even show it, but it's like so terrifying to just see like tufts of her hair left afterwards, and they just move on. They're like, all right, she's dead.
And the gore in this for an animated film.
So the only parts of this movie I saw were what they showed in the classroom scene in Donnie Darko. And like I remember seeing like blood, like rivers of blood or something.
Yeah, that's at the beginning. That's part of his like, oh my God, something bad's about to happen. That's before they leave the.
Okay. That's the only thing I remember. Is just like a rabbit going blood or something.
It gets so much worse than that.
So
You're like,
it's so weird because like they're British actors. Like it's
Mhm.
all these rabbits have British accents, and
Yeah.
like to give the feel of it, it's they never, it's like not full sort of panic with their voices. And like the perfect example in an Angel messaged me about this scene because she watched it today.
Yeah.
But there's a character called Bigwig, and he gets caught in a snare, which is like a rabbit trap that like it's a metal sort of like rope that just tightens around the rabbit's throat until it chokes them to death. And they go, oh no, it seems Bigwig is caught in a snare. And it like cuts to him, and his like blood is coming out of his mouth, and he's just going, "Ugh." And it's horrifying, but they're like, we got to do something. It's like
not funny, but the way you're retelling it is funny.
it's not funny.
You're
It's
right. It's
horrific in
very
the
like
moment.
flat. It's very like, oh, this is what we have to do. And then they get him free. Like that one rabbit. I don't know. I don't remember any of their names
No.
except Bigwig. And he's like out. And then the rabbit, there's like another rabbit that comes up and he goes, well, you're free now. You can go. It's like,
Yeah, I don't think so, but
it's so fun.
it is so. And like the ending with the dog is just probably the most infamous, and
Terrifying. Yeah.
it's tough to make a dog like a villain in a movie, but damn did they do it. So
you know what I thought was kind of messed up though? I thought it was messed up that, well, there's a lot of things, but I thought it was messed up that like they made us sit through the dog catching the other female rabbit, the one with the blue eyes.
yeah.
And then we didn't get to see him tear apart that villain rabbit.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, are you kidding? I would like to have at least seen like retribution for all the stuff that this rabbit has done to these other rabbits. And then like that's when the voiceover comes over and it's like, they never found his body. And I'm like, I'm so mad at you all right now. Like you just made us witness this horrendous thing. And then you didn't even show us. We didn't even get the relief of knowing that the bad rabbit was like out of the picture. I was so annoyed with that.
It's like, and it's so brutal, and it's so funny because this is the example of just because it's animated, it doesn't mean you should show it to your kids.
Please don't show it to your kids.
Because I guarantee you, back in the late 70s, no parent had any idea what they were walking into in the theaters.
Even the beginning story of like where it's got the different type of animation and it's like telling the story of basically like the sun god or whatever the heck it was. And then like he's like, oh yeah, well the rabbit made me mad, so I surrounded it with predators. And I'm just like, what the? That was when that's when I text you and was like, I'm 3 minutes in and WTF.
It just starts off hard and goes from there. And I have to talk about it in connection with it too, because the same film studio did Plague Dogs, which is another animated movie that's super messed up. It should be a horror movie also, but it isn't. And it's about literally, it also starts even worse, even more messed up than Watership Down, because it starts in an animal testing facility and they're making a dog just paddle in a tank of water until he passes out. And just when he's about to die, they pull him out and resuscitate him. That's how the movie starts. 2 minutes in. It is wild. And Plague Dogs has like the most bleak ending I've ever seen. It is brutal because
it's animated too, right?
Yeah, it's animated too, and it's just about these like two dogs who've like escaped from this testing facility, and they're just kind of living in this area, like kind of just going around. They befriend a fox who tells them what like domesticated sheep to kill, because they're like hiding up in the mountains and stuff where it's just farmers. And the farmers get mad, and like the rest of the film, they're just trying to hunt down the two dogs and the fox. And the end of the film, it ends on such a bleak note. It's open-ended though, but it's like, oh, they dead. There's no way they're making out of there, So it's so brutal. It's so brutal. So I don't know why. This film studio, they released Watership Down, and they said, wow, that traumatized a lot of people. Let's do it again. And so 2 terrifying movies in a row.
Oh man. Sorry, Tosh.
Oh yeah.
I never thought that. I'm sorry, Tasha. I swear.
Mine are not sad. Mine are just weird, if it makes you feel any better.
Those 2 are brutal, but Watership Down is like the one that everyone like knows is like the film that should be classified as horror, but isn't.
Except me. I'd never even heard of this movie.
Uh-oh.
Until you sent your list. And then I was like, and I was like, originally I was like, okay, I'll just look them up and kind of get an idea. But then I was like, I had time to waste at work and I was like, it's going back kind of slow. I was like, maybe I'll try to get in at least one of the movies. And then that was the first one and it was on Max. So I was like, okay. And then as I was messaging you as things got like really crazy.
Really crazy.
Yes. It's it's a super sad movie. It's also just like animal stuff is so hard, I feel like in general, but like rabbits are like these cute little, you know what I mean? And they're like, they're fighting this like war with these other rabbits basically. And it's just like, holy crap. And they have so many things to be scared of, like so many things that can hurt them. They're like, oh yeah, it was a wild one for sure.
That's the first one. We're starting off on a good note.
So what you're saying is I should show this to my son as soon as he could like sit through a movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
This is Andy's first cartoon feature. Okay.
You got to toughen them up.
We get rabbits in our backyard all the time. So,
we do too. We have I think several in our yard too. We always see them in the mornings. So Steve, you want to do yours and then I'll do mine. My first one.
Mine is also a 70s classic. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, baby.
Yeah.
It's got some wild stuff in it. And if you haven't seen it for a while and you go and like what'll happen is like I watched it a lot as a kid. And then like I'm like, let me just watch it. Man, that ferry scene.
Oh
and the rowers don't stop rowing.
It's
and then
wild
the chicken gets its head cut off at one point.
Horrifying.
In on the wall or whatever, the little
Yeah, they show like the chicken.
Why did they do that?
It's wild. And then obviously it's just very trippy with all like the Oompa Loompa scenes. And then like when you think about it, it's like all these kids are like getting killed off in this chocolate factory.
Oh, 100%. He killed those kids.
They're died. Dead. Like they definitely did not go home. And I don't think their parents did either.
No, they had no loose ends, Angel.
No.
They got a Highlander.
Them out back and
there can only be one
kids went, parents went. I mean, when you really think about it, like you get body horror with not Veruca, with Violet,
right?
You know, the poor German kid drowns in chocolate. Veruca gets thrown down a well,
rightfully so. Though she sucked.
I mean,
but 100%, that sucker's so deep. There's no way she didn't just hit the bottom and just die. There's no way.
That's it. And then and then Mike TV gets energized and put into a TV.
which that might be the worst death.
His atoms just get like separated and he gets sucked into a television.
It's pretty brutal.
But like I love Gene Wilder's performance. It is so unhinged and so terrifying. And then it really it's that very scene really sticks with me. I'm like, that's terrifying.
Well, when they almost get chopped to bits in the overhead fan.
Oh my God, yes. When they start floating up and going to the
becomes like a Saw movie at some point, right?
Yeah, they're just like, oh, crazy. God.
Well, and it's what's so funny is like it kind of has this like super sad beginning too of like, the grandparents all sick in the bed, they can't afford anything, and like, like you ever see those videos where they talk about how like Grandpa Joe is the actual villain of the movie?
Yes, I was about to bring that up. There's like a whole subreddit for why Grandpa Joe's the villain.
Yes, because he's like mooching off of them and then suddenly he gets this opportunity, so like now he can walk, and it's really funny. But yeah, no, I actually I almost had Willy Wonka on my list as well, because it definitely, like, especially like you said, like going back and watching it as a grown up, you're just like, ooh, there's some stuff in this that's questionable. I don't know.
I mean, I quote the most random parts of that movie all the time now, though. Like, Snallsberry. Who ever heard of a Snallsberry? Is like my favorite line from any movie ever. And I just want like lickable wallpaper, you know. I'm just gonna lick, just go around, lick the walls. Yeah. I mean, well, they also were not regulating lead paint back then in the 70s, so who knows what else you were getting off of.
Oh my
100%.
God, that's
Oh
terrible. to
man,
think
I
about.
wonder. I wonder how much lead poisoning in kids like escalated around the time of like the Willy Wonka release.
Yeah,
'cause
people
they're
were
like,
like, "Oh,
I
let
can
me
lick
go
my
see what my
wallpaper.
walls
You
taste
just
like."
lick my walls.
Let me just.
Oh, yes, Tosh. Every wallpaper is lickable. Gotta lower those standards.
That's lower your standards.
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, I know they did there was like the Johnny Depp one, and I think I maybe
Yeah.
seen that movie like once or twice. But I know that's also bizarre. But
Yeah, but they
Super
copped out in
bizarre.
that one because they rewrote the ending because all the kids live. You get to see them walk out of the factory.
Who needs that?
And we don't need that.
kill the kids.
Just kill them all. Like, it's much better that way. Like,
And
that's
for
what
me,
they get for being a little shit. Like, that's what happens.
For me as a kid, the most terrifying part of the film for me was when Willy Wonka towards the very end in his office just like screams at
Snap.
Charlie, and I'm
Dang.
like, yeah,
You
like
did
as a kid, I'm like,
nothing.
oh.
Yeah, intense. Super. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because no, I totally agree. So my list is very like everybody's gonna know everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, I immediately thought of this movie. I just went very cliche with my list. So I'm gonna start with my most cliche one on the list, and that's Coraline.
That's the one. Yep.
Coraline is children nightmare fuel. Like, I feel like if I had seen Coraline when I was like 6 or 7, I probably would have had nightmares. But it's other than, the whole like person who wrote it being a piece of trash.
Damn.
Yeah, I know we can never have anything nice. It's definitely what I would categorize as a horror movie. You've got, the mother monster, the other mother, when she's in her like normal form, is terrifying. The idea of like converting this child by sewing buttons on her eyes and essentially kidnapping her and keeping her from her real family. And then you get all these like these stories about what happened to the other people that live there, like the guy that's blue for no reason. Like, if you really pay attention, there's a lot of detail in this movie that really covers a lot of what happened to the other people that you're seeing. But it's just, it's a super like, the chase scene when she's like trying to escape after everything's been revealed, realizing that the whole telling lies thing with the other dad, and like, I don't know, there's so much about it. It's one of my favorites. I revisit it constantly, but it is, I think, very much a horror movie.
Yeah, for sure. And it's Babushka, right? Or what's the man's name, the Russian man's name?
The Russian guy, I can't remember his name. Yeah.
Well,
But
I know his grandma, right? I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. I can't remember his name, but like for him alone, just for his body proportions, because everyone else is like a normal-ish body type, and then he comes in with like these 20-foot skinny legs and this weird round pumpkin torso, and like you said, he's blue, a mustache that defies logic. It's like, all right, mister, what are you doing here? What have you been with? What are you doing?
What's going on? Yeah. And then like the two ladies with the dogs, like there's like all of they like talk about all the dogs that have died. And there's like the whole thing with like the dog angel is fucking weird. Like, there's just parts of it that are just like, this is like dark. Oh, and then of course, the obvious one, right? Which is the children's deaths, the ghost children that we meet, a little bit later. And so to say like, that's what was going to happen to Coraline if she wasn't able to escape, which is what kind of starts the whole like trying to get out thing. But yeah, all of that is just, I think it's a very scary concept. I think it's interesting because it's animated as well. But it's definitely super meant for kids. Like, it's marketed that way. It's not, you know what I mean? And but I think it's very spooky. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
Is it a
spooky.
Leica movie? I can't remember.
Huh?
Is it a Leica movie? The company? It is Leica. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Leica
Okay.
does like Coraline, Paranorman. I love their art style.
Oh, Paranorman's great.
Paranorman is so good.
Yeah, but that
Paranorman
company is
has.
so good. Yeah, Coraline.
They're so
Are you
good.
seeing it in theaters? I think it's coming back, or it's just
Yeah.
got re-released.
Just in
Yeah,
time
weird
to
timing
scare
on
some
that.
more kids.
Yeah,
Hot
just in
dang.
time for October.
You know. And it's the best part I think about Coraline is it feels like a grim fairy tale story.
It does.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with that, and I love those. Yeah.
Yeah. Except
It's
Coraline
very-
lives. But-
And there was, I can never remember the name of this book. And it was not a Goosebumps. It was not a Shivers book. I cannot remember who wrote it or the name of it, but I read this book one time called like The Perfect Family or Family Portrait. It was young adult, like meant, or it was meant like, or not young adult. It was for kids. It was like a Goosebumps book, but it was just a different brand. I can't remember who it was. And it was about this girl who wished that she had a different family. And so she wakes up and like her family is exactly what she wants. She gets to have all the clothes that she wants. And her mom makes her special breakfast. And then there's like a scene where she like passes this family portrait of them all on the wall. And she sees like a slithering tongue come out of it at one point. And she thinks she's hallucinating. But anyway, I love stuff like that where it's like, because it's like interesting to see, like, you think you have it so bad, right? But you don't realize that like your parents are doing their best. And I think, I don't know, rewatching it as a parent, I think it was a different experience in general, but it's definitely, I consider it a horror movie for sure.
Oh yeah. A horror, not horror.
Horror, not horror. Yep. All right, Radar, what you got for your second one?
Yeah, so this is a deep cut. I feel like not too many people know about this one, but maybe I'm wrong. And that's it is The Adventures of Mark Twain. And it's a 1985 claymation film.
Oh,
and
no.
I love stop motion and I love claymation. They don't do claymation anymore, like ever. So it's just a rare type of film that has died out. But claymation always has this kind of weirdness to it to begin with. But the premise of this one, and it's so funny because this film is rated G. And it's like Huckleberry Finn, and who's the other one? Tom Sawyer, and then the girl that's always with them. They end up getting picked up onto an airship that is commanded by Mark Twain, and like they can, all the levels on it are like the stories he has written, but he's flying to go meet Halley's Comet so he can die in the comet.
Radar, when did you see this?
Did you make this up in your? Was this like
I think I was 11 or 12.
Listen, Radar knows about and has seen the most like out there shit. Like I'm like, he sent his list and I was like, I've never heard of any of these movies.
No, I swear. People have heard of these.
That sounds insane though.
It is pretty wild. And the thing is too that a lot of it is based on, like, they use Mark Twain quotes for like a lot of his lines that he says in it. And the whole deal is that Mark Twain came into the world and left the world with Halley's Comet, like in real life. Like that's something that happened.
That's actual like lore.
Yeah, there's a quote of him saying like, I came in, with it. I'm going to leave with it. What better way for like a weirdo to depart? I'm really paraphrasing here, but yeah, and it's really.
I'm looking at pictures of the animation now. It's something else.
Yeah, and the reason it's a wild premise, but that's not too horror based. The reason I say it's horror, not horror, is because there's a particular scene where Mark Twain's like, I'm dropping you kids off here for a little bit with this guy, and it's a weird, like, it doesn't have any legs, and it's kind of like a suit of knight armor, and its face is like a theater mask that holds up, and like it'll change. It like, and the mask changes and it shows its expression and stuff. It's Satan.
It's like the black
I
phone
just-
mask.
It's just,
Kind of, yeah.
It's just Satan.
It is Satan. They are talking to Satan.
Oh,
and then,
I thought you were just saying that's. You're like, no, for real,
No.
like legit.
No. The character
No.
of Satan.
legit, the character of Satan. So Mark Twain leaves these kiddos with Satan, and like they build like, and like the kiddos like he takes them over. He has them play with clay and stuff and make like a little city, and then he just talks about how he hates humans, and then he just like, and like the clay figures like gain sentience and stuff for a little bit, and the kids are like watching them, you know, and then Satan kills them off, and he's like, humans are so pathetic. And it's so creepy. And it's like, why did you put that in here? And again, this is rated G. I don't know how. Do not know how. But and like even like Huck Finn's like, you killed him. You know, he's like, you killed all the people. And Satan goes, that's all right. We can always make more. You know, it's just very creepy. And that's that's why I was like, I have to bring this up.
That's wild. I wonder if it's streaming somewhere.
I don't. Oh, it's on Tubi.
Stop. Okay.
course
I'm gonna have
it's
to
on Tubi.
find
Tubi's
it.
got it
I'm gonna
all.
have to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, Claymation's great. Support Claymation. Now, it's been a hot minute because, and this is so wild, I watched it in an art class in middle school.
That checks. I feel like there
Yeah.
are some art teachers out there weird enough to show that.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
like, hey, let's watch this movie.
Mine was like, and she just had a whole bunch of VHS tapes, and she'd just go like, let's see, you know, and pull one out and just like put it in, and all her like art stuff, like every VHS she had was made before 1995. Like they were
Like,
all
I got
just
these from the library basement.
yeah, they're just old, crinkly, and she put this one on and was like, we're gonna do our next units on, you know, clay figures. So watch this and study the style. And like, as I'm watching it, I'm like, well, I'm not fucking learning anything here. Except that, you know, I guess Mark Twain was really creepy. I don't know.
Checks.
If you put his stories to Claymation, it gets a hell of a lot creepier.
I bet it does. Ugh.
Yeah, we need
It's
more
my second
Claymation.
choice. We do. I miss
We
it.
do. I like Claymation.
Well, I
stuff.
still watch all the Claymation Christmas stuff, which is
Yes, same.
Great.
Same.
yeah.
Steve, what's your second one that you wanted to talk about?
So, I mean, so this is a weird one because I think it's sort of in the horror sphere because it's sci-fi. And it's my favorite Tim Burton movie, and that's Mars Attacks.
Oh my God.
This is it's a bananas movie. I mean, as most Tim Burton
So
films
wild.
are.
It
I
is
feel
such a
it's
crazy movie.
underappreciated as far as like the Tim Burton movies go. It doesn't get enough love. And like I think about like the wild stuff in it, like Sarah Jessica Parker's head on a chihuahua's body. Like and then the chihuahua's head on Sarah Jessica Parker's body. Like
Yeah.
really bizarre stuff, like, you know, aliens biting off Martin Short's finger, Jack Black getting zapped into a skeleton. There's like a lot of bizarre stuff in it. I mean, it is very kooky, very funny.
It is.
But I think it's my husband's favorite Tim Burton as well. We just like we love
really?
like that 50s throwback, like pop sci-fi vibes.
Right.
And then I
Yeah.
guess, and I think there's a Mars Attacks game coming out soon too.
Is there? That's wild.
There
It's-
is actually. I don't know. I forget what the premise is, but there is going to be a Mars Attack game. So I don't know.
It's pretty funny how like close that line is to with that type of style of like, you know, movie, because like Tim Burton played it up for laughs because it was that pulpy sort of deal. But like if like you played that straight where it's just someone just being vaporized and just their bones are left, that's horror. That's 9 out of 10 times that's horror, but Tim Burton played it up for jokes and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it really is a
You know?
comedy. But I remember as a kid watching it, and there were parts of it that did creep me out. Like, you know,
For sure.
again, you know, decapitated dogs and vaporized bodies, you know. So I think, you know, yeah, you don't want to maybe show this to a young kid, but it's
For
fun.
sure.
I hope one day we get some revival. I know they did like trading cards for it. They did
Wow.
you know, different toy lines. I think NECA came out with new stuff. So we'll see how well the video game does. But I love Mars Attacks.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that's
I
a
feel
super
like
fun.
I feel like it has a cult following. Like, you know,
It does.
you and your husband, and like I'm sure a huge underground following that just loves
At least
the
5 other
stuff.
people, Steve.
At least
The way
there's
Radar
dozens
said
of
that, he's like you and your husband, and I'm sure someone else.
Someone else loves that
there's-
movie. I mean, and then I always quote Glenn Close. She's like, you know, the Nancy Reagan chandelier, and then she gets crushed by the chandelier.
That movie is absolutely bonkers. I forget how bonkers it is, but oh my gosh.
It is.
Yeah.
And
No,
what's
it is a super
what's
fun
the
movie.
song that defeats the aliens?
It's just yodeling. It's like, oh.
That's right.
So interesting.
Oh man, yeah, because the grandma loves yodeling.
There you go.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Arr, 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 arr. I love it.
Oh yeah, the aliens. I was like, what?
Yeah, the sounds. My sorry.
Thank you.
Steve's like
Ooh.
animations and his voice acting, and he's like super talented with these things. My next one is another one that's very like everybody thinks of this when the subject comes up. If you look up articles about horror, not horror, it's on all of the
Yeah.
list. And that's Return to Oz.
Oh, there you go.
Which is so good. It's such a good weird movie, right? Like I don't know what it is about it that makes
Very
it
weird.
probably because it's so bizarre, but I love it so much because it's so weird and it's very dark and like and this scene and I was laughing about this because I think Steve, this came up with your conversation with Anthony, I think, when you were talking about the heads.
So
Was
me and
that
Rob
him?
covered it for Heroes, and then I think Anthony, I did talk about it as
It
well.
came up
I
in
think,
the
yeah,
video.
you're right.
But like that scene when she is changing the heads, like she has like the different heads for the I like
Horrifying.
when I think about that movie, that scene is still makes me super bothered. Like I still don't like that. I'm like, oof, I don't care for that at all. But it's like super good. It's a great movie, but it is out there. And it's
It
definitely
is-
darker, heavier. It's very much like it's like, you know, the first one is like very kind of fun and light and whatever. And it's to me, it's kind of like the jump between like a fun Alice in Wonderland and then like Alice Madness Returns the video game. It's like what
Right.
happened to this story that I thought was so kind and gentle and fun. And it was like it gets so dark and it's very
Yeah.
strange. And it's definitely a horror movie. Obviously the first one I would not say that. I would say it's adventure, like fantasy kind of whatever.
right.
But
And like
yeah. Return to
When you-
Oz though.
when you start with shock therapy, you're kind of
No.
setting the
Yeah, you know,
No.
nowhere to go but spiraling into
yeah. And
whatever it became.
No joke.
it is. Oh wow.
Yeah.
My,
yeah. What
my
is-
wife-
Yeah, no, that's an accurate like that's a valid response, especially
Yeah.
because I wasn't even thinking about the way that it starts, but you're right. Yeah, it's crazy.
My wife loves this movie. She loves the original Wizard of Oz, but she also loves this one because she's like, this is so fucking bonkers. And
It is.
it
It's
is like,
who wrote that?
oh my, Ghostface just pointed out in the comments, but like the moose head bed thing that has fucking sentience, like what is it going to do?
the sentient, like
What
hunted
do you-
moose head.
Of all the things you wouldn't probably want to have that, right? Like I can't.
Yeah, like, and after the adventure's over, did they just dismantle it? Because it's not like it can do anything. What is it gonna do?
He's just like, just kill me.
Please.
It's such a crazy movie, and
It's so bonkers.
it's
And
so
and the
good.
skating people, like before you see their
Yeah.
face, they have like the head on the helmet,
The
and
helmet.
they like
Yeah.
peek around the corner. Like they almost do like a Poughkeepsie tapes thing, right? When he's like
Yeah.
Oh, when he comes crawling in the
when he's
room
like this,
behind
but that's what
her,
they
it's
look
like,
like when they first
"Ooh."
turn the corner.
It
It's
is kind
like
of
It's
it
just
is kind of like that.
horrifying.
You're right. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
It's so creepy. And I saw it when I was pretty young, and I remember always thinking it was a scary movie. And then now as an adult, I have like a different type of appreciation for it because I think it's just a really crazy fun movie, but it's definitely categorically maybe not supposed to be, or maybe it is, I don't know, but it's
No.
definitely a horror movie, and I don't know anybody that would like disagree with that.
I mean,
No.
they were playing Fast and Loose in the 80s, so
They
Yeah, and
certainly were.
it's got what's her name?
okay. Carrie's
Nancy.
mom,
Oh,
Margaret White is in it.
Thank you,
right?
Steve. I wouldn't have remembered that.
What?
Yeah, what's her name? Piper Laurie's in it. I think she
Hold
plays
on.
Aunt M.
Hold on. Uh-oh.
I'm not talking. I know, but I'm talking about the main character,
Oh,
Feruza Balk, Nancy from The Craft.
oh,
Ah,
what? That's her?
Y'all-
she plays
stop it,
Dorothy.
y'all. Are y'all messing with me?
No. Well, she's so young in that.
I didn't
wouldn't have-
realize
Still
that
looks
was
like
her.
crazy Nancy though.
Man, that
Yeah,
is.
Nancy from The Craft plays the little girl in Return to Oz. But I couldn't think
Ah,
of her real name,
That's
and then you
wild.
started saying names, and I was like, "That's not who
That
I'm
checks.
talking about." I had to look it up. I couldn't think of
Well,
her
other
name.
horror actor Piper Laurie plays
I
the
don't-
mom.
Also
Oh, yeah. But
plenty of horror ties in there.
And I think we talk about this all the time. Like kid actors can really make or break films. Really more break often, but
Yeah.
it was yes.
From the water.
I wasn't
boy.
even thinking of Waterboy, but yes, you nailed it.
There you go.
So but yeah, no, it's like she did such a great job of playing this like in this child kind of thrown into this world, and no, it's super scary. I loved it. It's such a good one.
And they also use claymation in Return to Oz
They
for that.
do.
So maybe all the good not horror movies just need claymation in it. Just throw a little bit in there.
Or dead rabbits.
Well, that too.
I did scream watching it when the king stuck his little feet out with the slippers.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yes.
And he's like this little, and he's like dangling them. He's like,
Oh no, I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
so silly. I love it.
It's so good. No, it's
I
so
just
good.
there hasn't been too many of those movies where it's just like, let's do something bonkers and not really like, focus too much on making something that's like mind blowing or says something. Let's just make something bonkers and just go with it.
Yeah.
And the ones that are like that have pretty extreme followings. People love them. So it obviously
Yeah.
works to some degree, right?
I mean, everyone's still talking about it.
Yeah, it's come up a lot recently. Like I feel like I've been seeing a lot. So it's probably one of the reasons that it up on my list is because it's so fresh in my brain. So I keep seeing people post about it.
You're like,
Radar, what you got for your last one?
all right, so this one, and I swear this one is well known. It's in the Criterion
Why
collection.
do you feel defensive? Like you have to let me know that I'm just the weirdo that hasn't seen these movies.
Yeah, you're the weirdo, not me for watching them. I swear there are at least dozens of people who have seen this one.
At least
But
dozens. Steve and
at
his
least
husband.
They've seen it.
Maybe.
Maybe. But that is La Planète Sauvage, aka Fantastic Planet, because it is a French movie. And it came out in the 70s. And what is the name of the act? Let's see. The director, René Laloux, had like a streak where he's just like, I'm just gonna make really weird ass animated movies. He's like, that's what I'm gonna do. And he started it with Fantastic Planet though, and like there's this just atmosphere to it that's just so unsettling. And I'm pretty sure the guy who made Attack on Titan got a lot of inspiration from this movie.
Interesting. I love Attack on Titan. Okay.
Yeah, because the whole thing is that humans have become like they're either domesticated pets of like this giant race of blue, like kind of fish-like, but they're not fish-like because there's no water around them, but like these weird alien giant creatures, and they keep like the tame one as pets. And then they randomly go out and they'll like cull the numbers of the savage ones. They're like, we got to keep them down, you know? And it starts with like this woman like just going and running with a baby, and there's like a little like there's the two giants going like and like playing with her and stuff with their hand, and they accidentally kill her, and then they're like,
my God.
and then like one of them goes like, hey, the baby's still alive though, basically, you know, this is all nonverbal, and they just take it home and like raise the baby that becomes the main character. And just from there on, like this atmosphere of like, this is really fucking weird just continues to persist. And like it's pretty brutal. Like they truly do just like, there's a scene in it where they're like, let's go out and just like the aliens are like, okay, well, let's just go out and really cull off the numbers. We know where they're at. And they just start going and just shooting like gas pellets and stuff. And then they like bring in like dogs to chase after them, like alien dogs.
Hell?
It is so weird and bizarre. And like the weirdest part is that like throughout this film, when they're moving places, they'll like just have these random ass creatures that are just out and about, and the creatures will just do something and like fly by the screen, or they'll just go like, there's one that's like, I can't, it's really tough to describe because it's like basically a creature that's in a cage, but the cage is part of it. And then it just like goes, it just like picks up stuff and just crushes it, and then just like, and that's what it does. Just like,
I'm using that to promo the episode tomorrow.
Your miming is fantastic.
But it's so weird. And if you look at pictures of it, like all the creatures in it, and like the animation style is kind of off-putting too. But
what's it called again in English?
Fantastic Planet.
Well, I just saw that Barry Bostwick is the narrator. That's really cool. He's the main guy in Rocky Horror. Yeah,
I've seen this. I've seen these blue aliens before.
Yeah, so that's what they're from. Is this? And this song, this I know it's not too crucial to it, but this film has a soundtrack that absolutely slaps, but it's also creepy because it's just prog rock.
You know, it's weird. It almost just looks like there's, I'm looking at pictures of the planet, and some of it reminds me of like Dr. Seuss.
Like a
very whimsical kind of art.
Yeah, well,
style.
just like some of the trees look like the fluffy trees from the Lorax, stuff like that. Like,
right.
It just looks like, it doesn't look fun and happy by any means, but that's just kind of what some of the shapes remind me of. Yeah, this looks insane.
It is.
No,
it is
very nightmarish. Jeez.
What the hell?
And Rene Laloux, I have to bring it up too, because he also did another movie, and I just feel like the French just do the weirdest shit when it comes to sci-fi, because this is classified as sci-fi. But the other movie that I've seen that Rene Laloux did is Gandahar, and that it is weird, and it's like the bad guy in that movie is a giant brain that was created, and it sends back in time metal men to like kill all the Gandaharians. This is the premise of it. And the main character has to get help from just like a group of mutated people, and they're like very weird looking. They're like one of, like if you think of like the mutants in Futurama, but just like creepier, it's like one of them has like 7 heads poking out of his torso. One of them's got like, one arm coming out of his head wrapped around. They're all like gray and stuff. One is just like literally just an upper torso with arms. So he goes and moves like that. But they're in it for like 10 minutes total. And they just do not say like, yep, this is, they don't put that much effort into them, like talking about their backstory. They're like, yeah, they're mutated. All right.
What a cast! I was looking up this one too. Glenn Close and Christopher Plummer are in it.
What?
They do the English versions.
So those
Amazing.
are. I know it's a 2-for-1 though for the last one that you should. I say watch at least Fantastic Planet because it is interesting. It's a journey. It's a journey.
Okay, I'm going to. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch these. This looks insane.
That's why I
It
joined the
does look
line.
insane. Yeah. All right, Steve, what you got for your last one?
My last one. So I didn't pick a movie. I picked TV show episodes, and maybe this is because I miss when, and maybe kids shows do it now, but I'll find out when I watch my son's shows. But I miss when our shows growing up would do like Halloween spooky episodes, versions of.
Right.
So so my pick is all of the spooky Hey Arnold episodes because they were incredible. So I rewatched because they were only like 12-minute segments. So I had like an hour to. I rewatched all of them today. So we have Haunted Train, Four-Eyed Jack, Arnold's Halloween, The Headless Cabbie, and Ghost Bride.
I think Four-Eyed Jack is the only one I remember.
Some of these, I am shocked that they even went there for some of it. Yeah, you know a Ghostface. So Ghost Bride, that was the last spooky one that they did. And they're all kind of walking by a cemetery, and Gerald tells the story of like a woman who is left at the altar by her like fiance. He goes, marries her sister, so she puts on like a bride outfit and takes an axe and goes and chops them up. And
wait, what?
She then and
rightfully so.
Rightfully so. And then she goes, and I think she dies. But essentially, the police kill her. And so she essentially haunts the cemetery singing the bride march, the bridal march.
Yeah.
And so amazing. And what I love with all these episodes is they go, and it's pretty much all the kids like investigating these things. And it's like, oh well, it was just the neighbor doing this, or it was just that. And then there's always like a little stinger at the end where it's like, nope, it was real the whole time.
That's terrifying.
The train is like the grandpa tells them there's this like train number 25 goes to hell, and like there was like a mad engineer that ran off the tracks, and then there's like creepy like polka music in it, really atmospheric. It turns out they just go to like a little steel mine thing, where the steel workers are, and that's all it is. But that one's great. The Headless Cabbie one is a spin-off of the Headless Horseman, where this woman, she like gets like a horse and buggy person in Central Park, and she's like, my little Scotty dog ran away, can you go help me find it? And so they go off, and she's like, oh, it's chilly out tonight, here's a scarf. And then the cabbie's scarf that he's wearing now gets caught on a tree and snaps his head off.
Jesus.
Good Lord. I remember that. I
don't remember any. I don't really remember most of those.
That is all wild. The only one that was a full episode length, because a lot of these are like half episodes, was Arnold Halloween, and it was an homage to H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, when people thought like it was an actual thing. So like they plan a prank to make grandpa and grandma and everyone at this Halloween party think that aliens were coming. And it becomes this whole big thing. And then they like rig the water tower to look like a spaceship. That's awesome. So I love that. Just goes mad.
Wow. Oh my God. I need to go look those up. It's perfect season for it too.
It is.
They're all on Paramount Plus.
Oh wow, okay. I don't know, Steve, if you've ever watched Regular Show.
No, that was Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah. But Regular Show did that every year. They would have a Halloween episode where like all the characters told like sort of, their own spooky stories. And there's the creepiest one was like where one of the characters, like Rigby and Mordecai are the main characters, and Rigby's like a raccoon. Mordecai's like a big blue jay, and Rigby throws an egg at like a house because the house doesn't give out Halloween candy, and it turns out the person in the house is like a wizard, and so like he puts like a curse on Rigby, And so Rigby slowly starts to transform into a house. And then like the wizard comes and starts killing off all the like other like main characters in the park. And like there's one character called Muscle Man, and like he's like chubby and stuff. That's the whole like joke about him, is like he's Muscle Man, but he's not ripped or anything. And his ending is pretty gruesome because he gets dragged into kind of like the woods, and there's like a scream, and the second later he comes out and he's skinless. And and he goes, "I told you I had muscles," and then he just dies. And it's pretty horrifying. It's like a kid thing, but
that.
like there's all these horrifying, like all the other like members of the park, like I forgot how they get offed, but it's this horrifying thing. And then the wizard shows up, and like Rigby's transformed into a house, and then like the wizard like opens this like box and starts just egging him, and he's like, "How do you like it?" And that's how it ends. He eggs him.
Oh my god!
Amazing.
It's
Rugrats had some good ones.
The Rugrats, I was gonna say Rugrats definitely did. I think Rugrats, I remember those, and I remember the bath one. Yeah, that was crazy.
That one, it was the potty monster.
The potty monster.
And
there was
the
a
spider under the crib was really scary.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's because you're seeing stuff through like little kids' eyes. So they cover fears a lot. So no, that was a good shout.
They do need to do that more often though. Like that stuff was great.
So different. Everything is so like, I don't know, it's so different now. So my last one before we wrap up is Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Chef's kiss selection.
Which I feel like is probably also a cliche one. However, I don't think you can really talk about this without including this one, and I almost didn't even make the list only because I was like not even thinking about it. But the thing is that like Roger Rabbit has to date the most terrifying villain I've ever seen in my life. Like Christopher Lloyd, like he seems so normal. I mean, he's still a bad guy, but he seems so normal until, he's not. Yeah. And it's terrifying. It's so scary because the movie itself is a very like kind of silly movie, right? But like it's literally someone taking like it literally takes like childhood things of like cartoons and he's like disintegrating them into it's crazy. Yes, the steamroller.
He's like and you just get
it's so bad. The shoe.
Yeah, that shoe, that poor shoe.
Did you just post about the shoe, Radar?
Did I? No, not recently.
Somebody did.
But I did. That is fair, Ghostface. I was like, who this be?
I know. I didn't know who it was either, but that's okay. That happens.
Nice. Now I'll keep that to my mind. I'll put that in the
but yeah, no, he's terrifying, and it's like all these tunes are going missing and bad things are happening, and you don't know what it is, and you think it's, and it's like it's crazy. Like it's such a wild movie, but it's yeah, it's definitely scary. Like there's parts of it, especially if you were to watch it, I think as a kid, you'd be like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, this is freaky. So had to be on the list.
Even now, when he reveals himself and he goes like, I talked just like this. And then his eyes go into knives. It's like, that still sends shivers down my spine.
So good.
And like Bob Haskins does such a great job of like embodying what fear looks like. Because he's like, oh.
Yeah, because you got to think too, he's good luck. I've had to do that before. Man. Good luck. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good night.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell Mason Ghostface was here. He'll be so pumped. He's obsessed with Ghostface right now. But yeah, no, it's like I remember it used to be one of my favorite movies, and I think I don't remember how old I was the first time I watched it, but it's another one kind of like Return to Oz where I saw it young enough that I thought it was a scary movie. Like I thought it was supposed to be like a scary movie, and it's such a fun movie in general. But yeah, I mean, he's terrifying. And you think too, like they're reacting to shit they can't even see because that's all done after the fact. It's just Christopher Lloyd, with weird hair. Like that's it. Like it's not, but it's like, I don't know. Like it's just, it's an intense villain, and I have never forgotten the way that villain makes me feel when he's on camera. Like
Oh, yeah.
he could go, what's the expression, like toe for toe with like any modern day horror
Right.
villain, and I'd be like, I don't know, tough, because he's scary. Like
He's pretty creepy.
Christopher Lloyd.
And
yeah, Christopher, God, I love him.
He's great. Yeah.
great. And like
So talented.
even when he's not revealed though, he's so imposing because like the scene where Roger Rabbit's hiding in the bar and the judge he comes in and he's just yeah, just and he's just so straight faced doing it too, and like
because he knows he can't resist. He's like, he's gonna, and it's so funny because what's his name? The detective. What's his name? He's like
Eddie.
Eddie. He's like, haha, that's stupid. And you turn and look, and Roger Rabbit's like freaking out because he wants to do the rest of
the 2 bits.
I love that part. He's like, what in the? He's like, oh, that's nothing. He turns around and he's like, oh my God. So good.
It is
so good.
Yeah, that villain is just top tier.
He is. It's so good. So yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Good picks.
Nuh-uh. Those things are cute. Hey, what's up, JR? They are not.
Coming in.
There's creepier things in Star Wars.
They are so cute. I used to have a stuffed one when I was a kid.
We have one for Andy, a little Ewok.
They're so cute.
I can understand how you would, but think that they're creepy because they're.
I mean, especially when they added the blinking.
Oh
yeah.
The blinking. Yeah. No, but yeah, there's really is a lot of stuff out there that's not really categorized as horror, but really is. The other ones that just a couple honorable mentions. A lot of Studio Ghibli movies I feel like are horror.
Spirited Away for sure.
Yeah.
Spirited Away. What's the Princess Mononoke? I think would also be categorized as horror. I'm so good. Anyway,
great.
Then there's The Neverending Story. There's
for sure.
Over the Garden Wall. There's a bunch. And they're not all animated. There's plenty that are not animated, like we've talked about several tonight that aren't animated. But there's so many things that seep into that genre without really, I think, meaning to, or maybe sneaking it in there, kind of, Right. So
like the one I just did on my TikTok is like No Country for Old Men, because Anton Chigurh is like the perfect killing machine in it, and like. And if it's been a while, just go watch the coin toss scene with the old guy at like the gas station. It's so, the tension is palpable in the whole entire thing, and it's and I just feel so bad for that guy.
Yeah, rightfully so. Legend is fantasy, but
that's been on my to watch list for so long. I need to just sit down and watch it.
It's worth it for Tim Curry, but it's also
Tom Cruise, right?
It's Tom Cruise. Yeah, it's so good, Steve. You're probably gonna love it. It's good. No, there's tons of stuff like that, and I think it's so funny because like there's so many people, y'all, that are like so quick to be like horror fans and like have all these opinions, and I'm like, there are so many movies you like that are horror. Shut up. Like there's so many that aren't technically, but they are. Like it seeps into so many other genres. He said, "What? James, I cannot believe you haven't seen it." Tisk. Agreed.
It's pretty good. It's
you gotta watch it and report back, Steve, because it's so good. That's a good shout, Tasha. Yes.
Oh, the Fievel movies are pretty creepy altogether. Really. I
was gonna say because there's 3 of them, 2 or 3.
What?
The other one that's like that's also really good is The Great Mouse Detective.
That one's pretty creepy too, and it's got my boy Vincent Price in it as the bad guy,
as Ratigan.
Yeah, as Ratigan.
That's one of my favorites, y'all. I actually own that on DVD. I love that one so much. It's so good. That dang bat with his little peg.
Yeah, a little.
When he creeps up and he's like, there's like that scene where he's pretending to be a baby.
Oh yeah, that's super creepy.
It's a jump scare. Like he goes, and he like jumps out of the. Oh my God.
Well, Lord of the Rings, I think about jump scares with Bilbo.
Oh
what
yeah.
the fuck is that doing in Lord of the Rings? We just rewatched all of those and we were dying laughing about that because I was like, why is that even in there? It's so
Oh yeah.
random.
Oh yeah.
The scene when they sing to each other. Yeah, it's
That's
what's
pretty.
Secret of Nim, I would say,
Yeah,
is
so
also
yes,
a really good
that's- yeah.
example.
Don Bluth. So he did Secret of Nim. He did an American Tale. So just Don Bluth. All Dogs Go to Heaven. Also terrifying, but oof.
Also super sad. I can't
Also super
do
sad.
that movie as a grown up. I just cannot
That's
do it.
fair.
Remember
They,
the
like-
those Ernest Stupid movies?
Mhm.
The
Remember they
Scared
did the Halloween
Stupid.
one? Scared Stupid?
Yeah, that one's
Yeah.
pretty horrifying,
I remember some really creepy, just very, it was like goopy horror, it was like
Yeah.
very oozy and gross.
And then he like turns the kids into like wooden statues. That's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's like, oh,
Yeah, there's so much of that stuff out there. Just horror can go with any other genre. It's one of the reasons I love it so much. It can go with so many different things. So
yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Radar, thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah.
Always happy to have you.
It's one of my favorite subjects.
I know you were the perfect person to do this with. And thanks everybody in the chat that came and hung out. That was awesome. It's always cool to have people to chat with. If you're watching this post live, let us know in the comments movies that you love that are horror, not horror. We're always looking for, especially recommends, because Radar, I hadn't even heard of these movies, and I did get to watch one today, but now I've got 2 more on my TBW. So
I can recommend you more.
So I have a whole list. I have a whole list from you to get through already.
I know.
Anyway, but yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. Hope you have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we will all see you in the next one.
All right.